Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Berny AM132M. I received this watch for free from the Berny official store on AliExpress. I don't have to send it back, but you know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or the other, and if you find yourself wanting to pick this up at the end of this review, head down to the link down below. I will leave the Berny official store as well as the AliExpress store for you. The current retail price for this watch is $119 US. That's before any discounts or sales. Berny does participate in the sales, so you can expect some pretty decent discounts if you're a little bit patient and wait around for those sales. The watch is available in 5 different colorways, which you can see on screen here, and I think they all look pretty good. They're all a sunburst dial except for the light blue colorway, which is just a flat finish, and I believe it's glossy, but I'm not positive on that one. The watch case and bracelet are made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So after getting Berny's last watch, their compressor, and seeing how good that one was, I was pretty excited for this one. I've had a couple watches similar to this one in the past, but they all kind of fell flat, so I'm kind of curious to see how this one stacks up. So I say we get right into this review. Before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing my Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical 38. I still need to do a review for this one, but it's just really not high on my priority list since it's been out for a while and everyone's done a review of it. But yeah, I absolutely love this watch. All right, let's get to the dimensions. Got a case diameter of 41.0, case thickness of 13.8 millimeters. We've got a 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 49.1 millimeters. With the protruding male end links, we have 53.3 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist. It weighs just under 150 grams. So it's 41 millimeters in diameter, 49 lug to lug. Pretty heavy on the bracelet. Yeah, that's pretty much on par with the other watches that I've tested as well. They're right around the same size. I really wish someone would make a 38 millimeter one of this. I think it would look awesome, and I think it would sell really well. That being said, I do think it wears pretty good for what it is. 13.8 thick though, that's a little bit chunky for me, especially for a watch of this style. This needs to be like 12 millimeters thick, and I think that would be a lot better. You can see here, kind of got some slab sides to the case, not much turn down. There's a little bit of turn down, but not much turn down. Yeah, and it's just chunky, just a chunky watch. 53 something with the lugs overhanging there. They do turn down nicely, so I do think it wears okay for what it is. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and here you can see it looks pretty good. I can definitely pull this watch off. It's a little long, 53 end link to end link is a little bit long, but I can still definitely pull it off. And I think even, a 7-inch wrist will be able to pull it off, maybe even slightly smaller. It does turn down pretty quickly, as you can see there. You do have a decent amount of curvature to the lugs as well. So yeah, I think if you have smaller wrist, you can pull it off. My main issue with this thing, though, you can see right here, you got lots and lots of light play, lots of reflections off of that crystal. Berny said that they have fixed it, so we'll talk about that when we talk about the crystal, but that's an issue. That's why I don't like single dome crystals. They're just not my favorite. You get lots of light play off the bracelet though. Nice seamless integration, and I was able to get a good fit. Yeah, I think the watch looks pretty good in this kind of shaded area. I say we get it into some direct sunlight here. And here it is in some direct sunlight. Pretty strong sunburst for such a dark blue dial. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And again, everything else looks nice. The brush surfaces look good, but that crystal is a problem. Yeah, it gets washed out pretty badly, but it just looks really good. Getting up close here, here's a nice close-up of the dial. Hopefully that color is coming across for you. But yeah, I think it looks really good in certain lightings. All right, let's go inside, throw down some straps, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on a Vario vintage leather strap. Link will be down below for this one. Looks really good. I always like this blue with the tan. I think it looks good. What do you guys think? And here we are on a Strapsco black rubber strap. And again, that actually looks pretty good. I like the way these straps wear. Very comfortable. And because this is 200 meters, you can definitely wear this in the pool like this. So just figured I'd throw down a rubber strap for you. There you can see all those reflections on that crystal though. And here we are on a Milanese mesh. It looks okay. Very, very shiny bracelet with a very shiny crystal. I guess that looks okay. Not my favorite though. You got a couple more straps to throw it on. Here we are on this is called a sweatpant strap, single pass, as you can maybe see right there. It still sits pretty good to the wrist. Yeah, really nice, comfortable strap. Not the best quality. This is from CNS watch bands, but it's definitely comfortable and definitely looks cool. I do like that combo. Alright, I got one last strap. And lastly, here we are on a ribbed nylon strap with 2 layers underneath. It still wears pretty good in my opinion. Not bad at all. And yeah, this is kind of like a lead gray, kind of a bluish gray color. I think it matches the dial pretty good and looks good. What do you guys think about that? Alright, let's go back inside and let's get back to the review. Okay, so let's talk about the case finishing. And like I've come to expect from Berny, the case finishing is overall pretty good. Definitely not perfect, but completely acceptable for the price in my opinion. It's a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. So you can see here, you have a nice fully polished bezel. Looks really good, very smooth polishing on that. You've got brushing on the sides of the case here, horizontal brushing, and I again think that looks pretty good. Nice fine brushing. You have little brushed areas next to the lug tips here. As you can see right there. Really, again, nicely done. And then you've got this polished chamfer that swoops all the way from one lug tip up and around, all the way around down to the other side. And those are done pretty nicely. Again, I see no real issues with the polishing. I think the polishing is done pretty good. You can see a little bit of softness in the transitions from the brush to the polish, just a little bit of bleed over into the polished areas, and that's pretty much consistent throughout the watch head here. I mean, for the most part, it is done pretty good, but when you get up close, you can start to nitpick it a little bit here. Flipping it to the crown side here, you have an unsigned polished crown, and it's a pretty good sized crown, nice and big. You can see here the outer edge of it, it's very smooth, so it is a little bit hard to get a grip on it. Like I really have to struggle to get a grip on this crown. So yeah, I like that it's not sharp, but they went a little bit too far and made it a little bit too soft. So yeah, you can actually, you can grip it and you can turn it, but it's just not as easy as I've had on other watches. Flipping it over to the case back here, you can see we've got a circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs. We've got a circular brush on the case back. A little bit of a spec sheet around the outside, Berny with your model number in the middle there. The case back is nicely done, not sharp or anything like that. You got simple tools to get in there if you ever need to mess with the NH35, which I'm a fan of. So yeah, I got no issues with the bottom of the case here. Everything is pretty soft. It's a very comfortable watch to wear in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the crystal. First thing we'll test it for sapphire. And it is positive for sapphire. It is a sapphire crystal, which is nice, kind of expected at this price range. It's a single domed sapphire crystal, and you can see the distortion right about there. So that tells me that it is a single dome, curved on the top, flat on the bottom. And yeah, this is my least favorite part of the watch. It is very reflective. Thankfully, Berny has reached out to me. They said that they did add anti-reflective coating now, so yeah, this one does not have it. So yeah, they have added AR coating to it. Hopefully the new batch is better than this, because this is almost a deal breaker. Almost a deal breaker. It's pretty bad. The cool thing about single dome crystals is you get a lot of light play off the dial. You get lots of different like, I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of makes the dial, makes the indices and the hands sparkle a little bit more. The issue is when you get into lighting like this, it gets completely washed out. If you go back to my wrist shots, you'll see it under a nice big oak tree, and it is almost impossible to read. And that's not just on camera, that's in person. It's tough to read. So I'm really hoping the AR coating they added kind of fixes that, but I really wish they would just go with a double dome crystal. It makes it so much more legible. Yeah, so this is my big sticking point with the watch, is the single dome crystal. And it's pretty much like that with any watch with this crystal. If they need to really load it with the AR coating for it to get a pass for me. I hate these crystals. They're just not my favorite ones. Okay, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. And the dial is actually nicely done. You have applied indices all around at every hour marker except 6 o'clock, which has a nice date window there. So they're using a custom date wheel, which is nice to see, and it is nicely centered. But yeah, the applied indices, getting up real close to them here, you can see they are brushed on the tops and then polished on the facets on the sides. So it kind of makes it very legible all the time. But then it kind of gives it some sparkle, as you can see there. So it's a really nice combination. I do really like it. I think it's nicely done. They're nicely sized, in my opinion. They are, they're not out of alignment or anything like that. Everything looks pretty good. The handset, again, pretty nicely done. You've got that kind of cut off hour hand there. I'm really sorry about the lighting here. It's just, with this crystal, it's very hard to film. So yeah, there you can see the cutoff hour hand there. Pretty nicely done. Again, fully polished, faceted. So they do play with the light really nicely. Good size, in my opinion. You got your hour minute hand there. And then you've got your sweeping second hand here, which is just short of the minute track. Not a deal breaker or anything. And that is loomed as well. You've got your minute track printed around the outside. Numerals at all the 5-minute markers. Really nice and easy to read. I do like this. The Berny branding, it's a little big, a little bold, a little bit too much in my face, in my opinion. They need to shrink that down, maybe use their Berny logo. I do kind of like that logo. Yeah, so that's really my only complaint with the dial there. The dial itself is nice, really nice, very subtle sunburst, but it is a sunburst. I think the blue color that they chose here is really nice. It's not like an in-your-face blue, it's pretty subtle, and I think it looks really good. So all of the indices and the hands are loomed. They're loomed with white BGW9, so it is white during the day, matches perfectly, no issues there, and it glows blue at night. I'm going to pop up my Lume shot right now. And here you can see it against some other watches in the collection. It actually does pretty good. This was surprising. The area that they can put the Lume into is very small on this, as you can see, but it actually holds on really good. Quite impressed with the Lume application on this. So I think, Berny, you did a really good job in this aspect. It's not great just because the area is so small, and it's hard to distinguish between the minute and the seconds and the hour hand. But that's just the design of this watch. But I think the application of Lume is actually pretty impressive for what it is. So, yeah, pretty happy with this. This definitely has the best Lume of this style watch that I've seen on AliExpress. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So here I'm going to pop up the time grapher shot here, and it's not running great. Accuracy-wise, it's fine. But the beat error is kind of all over the place, and it kind of jumped from +2 to -5 to +5, and kind of all over the place, and that was stationary. So probably not the healthiest NH35, but yeah, they do slip through the cracks every once in a while. So I wouldn't expect your NH35 to act like this, but this one's not great. The movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown here. Again, unsigned and very slippery. I really got a grip onto it. The screw out action is pretty satisfying, pretty smooth. First position here, hand winds. Second position changes your date. And again, those are nicely centered in there. We'll get to some double digits for you. Yeah, pretty nicely centered. Third position here, hacks your movement. This is where you set your time. Everything works as you would expect it to with an NH35. It hacks hand winds 21,600 beats per hour, about 40 hours of power reserve. Accurate, reliable, cheap. Yeah, no issues with the movement at all. I really do enjoy the NH35, and I've got no problems with companies using it. So my only complaint with this is the crown screw in action. So if I screw it in here, you'll see it comes to a hard stop at about 1 turn, and it's definitely not screwed down all the way. So I've noticed with this one that you have to press it in, roll it back, and you'll kind of hear it seat into the threads, and then you can start screwing it down. That's really the only issue I've had with this one. Otherwise, it works pretty fine. It works pretty good, and I've had no other real issues with it. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet on this, like I mentioned, it is 20 millimeters at the lugs. It does taper down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. You have solid end links, male end links. You have solid links, 3 here. You've got push pins, the split pin design for sizing. I had no issues with those. I think, for what these watches are, they work just fine for me. Yeah, nice and fluid bracelet. I think the finishing is done pretty good. You've got brushed on the outer links, really nicely done. Polished on the middle links, fingerprint magnets, as you can see there. but actually nicely polished links. Usually this is where companies kind of skimp. And yeah, these ones are actually done pretty good. It's pretty smooth. Definitely not perfect getting up real close, as you can see, but pretty smooth overall. And I think the bracelet in general is pretty good. It's a little bit rattly, but not too bad. End link fitment is nice and tight in there. Got no issues with those. And yeah, I think everything looks pretty good. It's very comfortable, no issues with it. It does have a butterfly clasp, and it has no half links, no micro adjust. So fitment on these things is always hit and miss for me. Thankfully, I think I've been pretty lucky in the past where most of them fit me just fine. This is no exception. This one fits me great. I was able to get a really good fit on it, but you might not be so lucky. So yeah, that's my only real gripe with this. You've got about 10 millimeters between links, and so if you're kind of in the middle of that, you're either going to be wearing it loose or you're going to be wearing it tight, and that's just due to these butterfly clasps. They're just not my favorite because you don't get any micro adjusts. This one's actually pretty decent though. You just press this one side down here. You can see it's got a little recess point there, and that is for that little spot right there. It's not branded or anything, which is kind of unusual. I kind of figured Berny would put their logo there. Everything does work pretty good though, pretty smooth, and overall I'm pretty happy with it for a butterfly clasp, which is still not very good. So yeah, that's a complaint of mine, as well as the crystal. So there you go, guys. That is the Berny AM132M, a newer release from Berny, and I think it's a pretty good kind of one of those go anywhere, do anything watches. Yeah, you're going to be able to swim with it. You're going to be able to, throw it on the bracelet and go to a wedding in it if you want to, and it's not going to really look out of place anywhere. My complaints with it, one of them is a personal complaint with the 41 millimeter and 49 millimeters. That's just me. I like smaller watches. Another complaint is the crystal. Hopefully they did actually put some nice AR coating on it, because that crystal reflection right there, that is almost unacceptable. The Berny logo, it's a little bit big for me. Butterfly clasp, that's an issue, but that's kind of the same thing on all these watches. All this style of watch, they use butterfly clasps. They just need to stop using those. They're not great. If they do use them, throw in some half links. We would really appreciate it. But other than that, though, it's been a good watch. It's got really good lume, nice finishing for the price. The dial is actually really nicely finished, dial and hands, and overall I'm pretty happy with it. So if you guys are interested in this, I will be leaving an affiliate link down below. That is to the Berny official store on AliExpress. I'll also be leaving their official website store down below, so either one of those. Berny, they are great. They've always been good to me. Sometimes they do send QC pictures, make sure you're getting the right watch and all that stuff. So really good to deal with, very communicative, and they're all over on Reddit as well. So if you have questions or concerns, they're pretty easy to get a hold of. So I think that's about it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.